problem. Okay, hopefully that is working. Welcome to the people that are just joining. We'll just let them into the meeting. Okay, so to start off with, we will kind of hand over to Darnell, who's just going to do a really quick introduction on kind of who he is, when he graduated, and that kind of thing. So Darnell.
Hello everyone. So I graduated from Swansea. I did my master's there in 2018-19. I studied economics. I'm not sure if anybody else here does. But once I graduated then in 2019, I started working for the ONS in Newport as an economist. And I've been there ever since. I'm not really sure what else I can say.
That's perfect.
Like an introductory thing.
That's perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Darnell. Okay, I'll pass over to Charlotte.
I can unmute. Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte. I graduated from Swansea last year. Can't believe it's a year already. So I did business management with a placement, and it was the open pathway. So I just chose all my modules. And then when I graduated, I started with Capgemini in the September. And then I've been with Capgemini as an application consultant. And then, yeah, that's what I'm still doing now.
Lovely, brilliant, thank you. And then we've got Dan as well. Can anyone else hear Dan? No, no, it's Dan. I don't think your mic. Oh,
how about now?
Yeah, try again. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, my name is Daniel James. I graduated in 2019, the same as the other two, and I work in Capgemini, originally as an applications consultant, but currently as part of the alliances team.
Brilliant, lovely. Okay, so that's who's kind of doing the talk. So again, if you think of any questions based on where they're working, companies, that kind of thing, feel free to pop them in the chat. But I'm going to hand over to Darnell. So hopefully you should be able to share your screen with us. So he's going to be talking through kind of how he got his role. He's going to be giving you a bit of an insight into working at ONS, what it's like, any kind of tips and advice. So what he's sort of learned from his experience of uni, and maybe what he would do differently. And he'll also be talking about potential opportunities as well. So are you able to share your screen, Darnell?
I hope so. Give me a second.
Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Yep, that's working.
Is that working?
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, so hopefully
Cool.
everyone can see that. So off you go.
Okay, great. Like I said, I studied at Swansea in 2018-19, and then I was fortunate enough in the February of last year, which seems like a really, really long time ago, to be offered a job at the ONS as an economist. So I'm just going to run through kind of some quick slides. So I did my undergrad degree in economics, did that at Cardiff. When I left there in, again, what seems a very long time ago, 2017, I worked as a data scientist, and it was an interesting job, but it just wasn't for me. But I did find the statistics side of it really, really interesting. So I figured, I'm only young, why not go and at least try to do something that I really enjoy. So in the middle of that year that I worked as a data scientist, I decided that doing a master's might be the best choice and hopefully help me to get a job in a field that I would like to work in the future. So that's what I did. I applied to Swansea, got in for 2018. So after I finished my degree last September, like I said, I was fortunate enough to be offered a job at the ONS. And I wasn't really sure where I was going to be assigned in terms of the government, because you get put into like a big kind of economicsy pool where they can assign you to a bunch of different government departments. So that could be the Treasury, the ONS, DEFRA, a bunch of different departments. And I was lucky that I got into the ONS, but I was also lucky in that I got to work in my team, because I'm sure that a lot of you know that we produce a lot of the statistics that you'll see, so things like the unemployment rate, inflation, that sort of thing. So you have a bunch of different teams working on those, but the actual individual team that I'm on, we kind of get to analyze a bunch of different topics. So like you can see on the slides, since I've worked there, we've worked on the impact of COVID on working arrangements. So which occupations are able to work from home the most, what else? How technology is enabling different demographics and areas and industries to be able to work from home. And then we also did a project on GDP and CO2 emissions, which was really cool because we got to go to London and give a presentation at Ofgem. But we do also work on the labour market. We've got work coming up next week. So we get to do a bunch of things, which I think is really good because, like I said, in other government departments, they only get to work on one thing, whereas my team, we get to work on a bunch of different topics, which is cool. A lot of the work that we do is using Stata. So I'm not sure who is in attendance today, but Stata is kind of an econometrics software package. So we use big data sets like the LFS, so that's the Labour Force Survey, and then the APS, which is the Annual Population Survey. But there are loads of like surveys and acronyms that I don't have a clue about. And then we kind of work through these huge data sets that have got like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of data points. And then we look for the trends and hopefully use our knowledge to be able to explain the trends in the data. So I've got some really, really cheesy tips and advice, but I think that if I would have known these things before, so when I did my undergrad, I think that things might have gone a little bit more smoothly. So the biggest piece of advice that I can give to you is to find something that truly interests you. And I know that might sound a little bit lame, but if I kind of stuck in the job that I was doing before, I don't know, I'm happy where I'm at, but it's because I took that risk. So if there's something that you find interesting, and I think it's worth kind of having a look down that path. So speak to people, expand your network, because there's going to be someone that you can speak to who will help you be able to go down that track. For me, so I have my interview at the ONS, and the structure of it is they will give you a bunch of questions, kind of like a quiz, and then they'll ask you to speak on kind of a specialist subject. So mine was kind of economic growth, inequality, that kind of thing. And I really think that the kind of, I'd say the passion that I had for this topic really came across and helped me to get the job, because like I said, if you approach it in a way that kind of enthusiastically, then it's going to come across to the people who you're speaking to, and it might help you to get the job that you want. Again, like I said, I'm not sure who is in attendance there, who's watching this, but if you're looking to pursue a a role where you're doing a lot of analysis or statistical work, then I know that at least when I was in Swansea Uni, we had an opportunity to use programs like Stata, Mathematica. Probably could have pursued R if I would have known they would be so useful. So definitely use all the facilities you have to be able to learn these skills. And I think they'll be even more useful in the coming years. And then the last kind of tip that I have is go to office hours, speak to people, don't be scared to ask questions, because there are people out there that know the answers to things that you don't, and you learn things a lot sooner if you kind of swallow your pride and you ask them. So don't be scared to, because it will really, really help. Because most of the time people are more than willing to help you out. So here are some of the transferable skills that I learned at university. So the one that's perhaps been most useful to me is how to effectively conduct research. So that's not only in things like your dissertation and coursework, but again, that's speaking to lecturers, speaking to classmates even. But then of course you have got the side of it where you are actually going out reading academic papers, using things like Excel, even using software packages like Stata, because even when you're reading papers, you'll learn, again, I don't know who's watching this, but you'll learn like how to build models, or how to critically assess things, which I mentioned here as well. So you're able to look at things from different perspectives and kind of remove the emotion, which I think from an economic point of view, we were taught different schools. That was one of the modules that we did. So we learned kind of traditional economic policy. We learned things like feminist economic policy, Austrian, there's a bunch, but they all teach you how to look at the same problem in slightly different ways. And whilst you might not agree with it, it does help to look at problems from different perspectives. So that's helped in work, but it helps in life as well, to be able to understand different people's opinions of things. And then lastly, I know that I've mentioned it a bunch of times, but using Stata really, really helped, especially when using big data sets. So this morning I've been using Stata pretty much all day, and I wouldn't have been able to adjust so quickly to the workplace if I didn't learn those skills whilst I was at university. So yeah, those are just some of the quick slides that I've got. Thank you for letting me give this quick talk. And if you've got any questions after the presentation, just send me a quick email, and I'd be more than willing to give you a little bit, hopefully, of advice. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Darnell. I wouldn't say any of that was cheesy. Really, really good. Thank you. Hopefully there are some economics students here. You feel welcome to kind of put your hand up. There's reactions that you can use on Zoom if you are an economics student. But yeah, really useful tips there. We'll kind of go through questions if anyone has them, but if not, I will hand over to Charlotte now at Capgemini. Have you got slides that you can share, Charlotte?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Brill.
Share my screen. Sharing? No. This is where it all goes wrong.
Just while you do that, hopefully you've all
Okay.
seen in the chat, Hannah said, could you just put your student numbers in the chat, just so we know that you've attended. Thank you. Oh, brilliant. We've got a thumbs up, so I'm hoping that's an economics student. Any questions about Darnell's presentation? please do get in touch. Okay, lovely. Brilliant, we can see those.
Super. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, brilliant.
So, perfect. Right, so hi everyone, I'm Charlotte. So yeah, as I said, I'm an applications consultant at Capgemini. So yeah, if you've got any questions, just add me on LinkedIn. I've kind of done this a few times, and quite a few students from some of these talks have just added me on LinkedIn, and just if they've got any questions or anything, just super easy to message on that. So yeah, please feel free to add me and ask any questions or anything about things that I go through today. So this is kind of like my journey into employment. So I've kind of gone all the way back to when I was dog walking in sixth form, because I think this is quite important, as all of these skills that I've learned throughout the past 8 years since I've sort of started working have really led me to where I am today and what I'm capable of and my skills and stuff like that. So a lot of what I'll be talking about is kind of your like social skills, team learning skills, kind of emotional intelligence and things like that, which I think are kind of super important for you to learn and to grow at university, but also then afterwards just consistently kind of growing these skills throughout your employment and things like that. So yeah, so I started dog walking when I was at sixth form and working in a B&B, child sitting, pet sitting, literally just, I lived in a really small village, so just doing anything I could get my hands on. And this was just really good because I really had to kind of sell myself. It's like, how do I convince people to trust me to walk their beloved pets and to look after their kids and to, you know, do things like that. So I had to be like really reliable, I had to be really personable, and really kind of grow these communication skills and really sell myself. And, you know, it's kind of like a brand, which is why I quite like LinkedIn. Because, you know, it's like, this is you, this is who you are, this is your brand, you know, this is what you have to offer and things like that. So yeah, so even from when I was at sixth form, I was kind of trying to get these skills and these communication skills, you know, management skills, managing your time between you know, your study and your work and things like that. So, and then obviously I went to university, so I've come to Swansea Uni. I didn't really know what to do or what I was interested in. I knew I was kind of interested in business management and I kind of liked IT, but I was like, I'll do the open path kind of business management course. And I really wanted, the one thing that really drew me to Swansea was the support that you would get with trying to get a placement year. I thought that was really important. I'm someone who like, I'm very practical, so doing a placement year I thought would really benefit me and my skills, and trying to get a job after uni, which is, you know, the main goal really for going to university, to get that degree, to get extra qualified, to have, and just to open more doors for yourself to, you know, achieve as well as you can achieve and things like that. So my first 2 years of university, I worked at the McDonald's down the road from Bay Campus. So this was my first time really working as part of the team. So obviously at McDonald's it can get quite intense, you know, if there's like loads of customers, loads of cars coming through. You work with a variety of different people from all different backgrounds, you know, and the way you have to manage things and manage the time and all these sort of things that go on, and working with in a team is so important, and something that I was quite lucky to do quite early on with different like sports. And, you know, you work in teams when you're at university and different modules and things, but this is all really vital for what I do now. So that was really good. Just kind of, you know, it's only McDonald's, but it kind of taught me a lot, and I really kind of got to improve my skills. And when I was applying for placements, because I've spoke to so many people and met so many new people and things like that, going to interviews kind of weren't as scary, because I've already put myself in lots of different positions where I've met new people and had to adapt to certain situations. So yeah, that was really helpful when I was going to interviews and everything else that you do for when you apply for placements. And then when I was at uni as well, so I joined the football team for the first and second year, and I was in the rugby team for the third year. And I just love it. I love being a part of the team. I love just everything that you can get and all the skills that you get from team sports, and just working together. I think it's absolutely vital for, especially in consultancy, you will constantly be working in your team. I work with several teams at Capgemini, not only my own, and I'll go into that in one of the next slides. But yeah, that's just like a really, really important skill to have. So yeah, I know it's probably a bit, I don't know, not great now with COVID and everything, trying to get into teams. But yeah, if there's like certain societies that you can do, even online, just like meeting new people and giving yourselves, like opening doors for yourself, that's like one of the best things that you know, the best advice that I can give, really, and something that has really helped me be where I am. So I was really, really, really fortunate to get a placement at General Electric. I did not apply for many places, so yeah, this was just kind of like crazy to get. And I was a project management intern, so it was really good. Being in project management, I had an opportunity to work on loads of different things, so I was really kind of go into huge outage projects and kind of helping the managers manage like all these like multi-million-pound parts, like 200-300 staff, loads of stuff like that. I was learning a software so I could try to help out streamline different processes. So I got to work on change management, what was it, like, yeah, process alignment, like all these different things. So that was really good. So I did like 14 months at GE before coming back to Swansea to finish my degree, and it was so intense, but it was so good, and I learned so much. And I feel like if you're ever in a job and you're not challenged, it's kind of like what you're getting out of that. Like, chaos and challenge really does bring out, you know, opportunity for you to learn and to grow. And stuff, and you know, you really do need that at the beginning of your career, just to challenge yourself and try to do lots of different things that you can do. And then again, I was really fortunate to get my graduate placement with Capgemini, and I've been with Capgemini a year now, and for the whole time I have been on an extremely intense project with a large aerospace company. So as you can imagine, this environment that we're in right now can be very difficult to manage with aerospace. So yeah, there's a lot of different challenges, not only the project, but kind of surrounding the project as well. So it's been very interesting. Oh yeah, so before I go into a bit more about Capgemini, I just wanted to go into a bit more of like developing your transferable skills. So obviously I go into a lot of communication and, you know, being able to, I do talk more than I listen. This is definitely something that you know, you constantly do need to improve on, but having that feedback and reflection. And it wasn't until third year when I remember doing like the final year project, and we had to do like a reflection piece, and I was actually like, this is so important. And I actually spoke to a few friends of mine who were already working, and I was like, how do you improve at work? Like, how do you deal with situations? And it's like, you know, what a lot of them said was that they reflect, like everything that they do, different situations, like they always reflect on what they've done and always try to learn from it. Even if it's a mistake, they learn from it. If they've done really well, you know, but what could we have done better? What else could be learned? So that's just something just to really hone in on your skills and you know, what you could be better at. You know, in consulting especially, you know, you have to be good at a lot of things. You know, it's so challenging, but definitely kind of like all these things, like you're listening, you know, your open-mindedness to criticism or constructive criticism, hopefully, and all these things are so vital to be able to develop your transferable skills. So yeah, that's just a little bit on that. And then insight into working at Capgemini. So there's not too much I can say about like the specifics of the project that I'm working on, but just working as a consultant, I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit, because I think some people are quite surprised when they go into consulting. I think I was, especially, just like the hours, the traveling, the challenges. I kind of like, you're a graduate, but you're not a graduate. It's like, if you're on a project, that's it, you're one of the team. And you have to be really flexible, really adaptable to anything that's thrown at you. Obviously, I'm really fortunate to have to work with a really, really good team. But yeah, I'll be working with the environments team one day, the functional team, the data team, the integration team, the project team, the client. We have other third parties, like different consulting firms that you have to work with, communicate to, kind of do work for. So there's so much going on. It's so intense, but you know, it's all good, it's all challenging, and you learn so much. But yeah, consulting is not for the faint-hearted. And you know, it would be the same as Capgemini, Accenture, KPMG, PwC, you know, all the kind of consulting firms. But you get so much out of it, and you just kind of learn so much. But yeah, it's just very intense. But it's all good, it's all good. And then I tried to finish the slide, so this is like the last slide, and then so I've just put a few bits and bobs, but hopefully you've picked up on like tips and advice throughout the talk. But yeah, just one of the main ones is just kind of try to open your own doors. I think that's what helped me a lot. So, you know, I was a placement ambassador, part-time jobs, placement, societies. I really tried to do as much as I could, you know, create opportunities for myself to meet new people, gain new skills. I think that's just so important, to be that adaptable to different situations when you graduate. And you know, just being open to, you know, sometimes you won't know what you exactly want to go into after you graduate. I mean, even myself, I'm still like, oh, do I want to be a consultant for the rest of my life? Do I want to go into sales, pre-sales, like operations? Like there's so many different departments as well in Capgemini. There's HR, and we do loads of projects for different software companies. So yeah, there's just so many opportunities out there, and you know, chances are you're not going to know straight away, so don't worry if you don't know. But yeah, just go out there, rummage around, and have fun with it. You know, you're going to be working for many years, so yeah, just try to have as much fun. Something that worked for me for my placement and my graduate scheme was just applying quality over quantity. I know quite a few people who just applied, but it was kind of like they maybe didn't put as much quality into that application as they could have done. And I used kind of the careers team and the placement team so much. I mean, Jess and Hannah is always coming in like every week. You know, can you look at my CV? I've got an interview with so and so. Can you help me think of questions that they might ask? You know, all these things like that. You know, I really used the employability team, and they were absolutely fantastic and helping me with my placement and graduate scheme. But yeah, I mean, this worked for me. I mean, it might not work for everybody, but I just try to apply for a few, but really kind of do a really good CV, do a really good cover letter, you know, really practice for the interviews. And that kind of really helped me get to where I wanted to be. And yeah, get used to working 9 till 5, or if you're in consulting, 9 till 10. But yeah, just get into that routine. I think for me, why I did so well when I came back to my 3rd year is because doing my placement, I got so used to working that 9 till 5, having that routine, like trying to balance everything. So when I came back for my third year, it was kind of like a lot easier to do and a lot easier to manage. So that was really good. So if you're in third year and you're going to apply for a graduate scheme, yeah, try to be in uni like that 9 till 5. I know I definitely wasn't like that in my first and second year. But yeah, just get into that routine and stuff, because then you'll just find it a bit easier when you do start working and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my tips and advice.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Charlotte. I think amazing overview. And I would say both of your talks kind of really, hopefully, to kind of have the message of use the opportunities that you've got while you are at university. So Donna, what you said about office hours, and Charlotte, what you said about kind of opening up your own doors and making the most of like opportunities while you're here, part-time jobs, everything that you did. Our team, we are here for you. I think that is, you know, really, really good message. So thank you both. That's brilliant. Really, really good. I'm going to hand over finally to Dan. So are you there, Dan? I think we might have some sound issues with Dan.
Oh, I am still here.
Amazing, great. Okay, have you got your slides? Are they working? Oh, it's
Are they showing up?
Okay, lovely. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, good.
We can see them. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Dominic James, and I work in Capgemini. So my journey to employment. So I started off actually doing music in college. I worked in Subway and sold champagne at Chester Racecourse. So I got to meet the likes of Jeremy Kyle and Ricky Hatton and people like that, which was quite interesting. And then I was in a band at the same time. And then last second, I decided to switch from doing a music degree, because there wasn't enough money in music, to go into Swansea and doing business, because that was something that I'd learned through being in a band and having to promote yourself and selling at a champagne bar. That kind of business was something I wanted to do. While I was at Swansea, I had a lot of downtime, and my loans and stuff like that didn't really give me much to live off. So I started my own marketing business. I started it with a friend. We were doing corporate videos for people, and then he kind of left me on my own, and I kind of picked it up and kept it going. So I started that in about second year of university, and that acted as a really good way to gain some skills and to just get out there and to meet people and to learn things that I wouldn't necessarily get otherwise. And university is a great time to do that, because obviously you're busy revising, going to lectures and stuff like that. But you also have a lot of time on the side that you can be using the skills that you're learning in your lectures to be putting into a business. It doesn't need to be, you know, overly successful or anything like that, but it's a really valuable way to gain some experience that you can use going into a job. After uni, so I was actually in the same interview as Charlotte when we both went for Capgemini. We ended up going down to Woking, and there ended up being about 3 or 4 different people from Swansea Uni all going for the jobs at the same time, and we all ended up getting the jobs at Capgemini. So that was quite interesting. But I got the job, and I didn't start until March of this year, because the team I wanted to join, the customer experience team, was full, but they still wanted me, so they pushed me back to this year, which was quite lucky considering the pandemic happened a week after I joined. So yeah, my time at Capgemini has been quite interesting, which I'll come on to. So in the interim, I decided, whilst running my business, I decided I was going to stop doing that, because I didn't feel like the market was right, and I wanted to go into, you know, consulting 100%. So I decided I was going to start teetering off with that. And then I thought, oh, you know, consulting, you've got to travel around, you've got to go to meetings and meet people and stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to need some suits and business wear. So I'll get a job selling suits. So I worked in Cheshire Oaks. So if you know where that is, around Ellesmere Port, Liverpool, Chester. I worked there selling suits, because I thought, okay, great, I get 50% discount. I can stock up on my workwear. I finished there at the end of February, and then joined Capgemini in March as an SAP customer experience applications consultant. So I joined, it was the first week of March, and we had our induction week. I was meant to go to London the week after to meet with my manager, and Capgemini stopped traveling because of COVID. So all of these suits that I bought and shirts that I bought with my 50% discount have not been worn apart from when I was working in the shop. I've only been to one Capgemini office, and I've only met probably about 4 or 5 different people from Capgemini in person. Everyone else has been over video calls. So yeah, I started off in Capgemini as an SAP applications consultant, which would have been very similar to what Charlotte is doing, just kind of helping with projects and stuff like that. But then I've moved recently over to the alliances team. And in big organizations like Capgemini, we have an alliances team, which is basically, because we're a systems integrator and we go into these big companies like I've got on the right and install their softwares and stuff like that, we have strong partnerships with some strategic software vendors. So we've got SAP, we've got Salesforce, we've got Microsoft, we've got Adobe, we've got IBM, and we've got Amazon Web Services, AWS. And I work on the Salesforce and MuleSoft side. And it's our job to basically make sure that the relationship between the senior people in Capgemini and the senior people in our partner company and the account executives in Capgemini and the account executives in the partner company all see eye to eye and get along well. So that is my current role at the moment, is basically facilitating those conversations, doing some kind of early sales stuff to get these opportunities off the line and making the right connections. I'm working with kind of case studies and marketing classroom, getting stuff like that on the go. So an insight into working at Capgemini. So I've said, that's my role. One of the best things that I hear, so my dad actually works in Capgemini as well. And one of the things that he and a lot of the people, because he's been in Capgemini for 13 years, something like that, and everybody else I speak to that's been there for a long time, a lot of the reasons that they come to Capgemini from some of the other consultancies and stay is because of the culture. So we've got 7 core values, which all kind of come together to mean that everybody in Capgemini is friendly. Everyone's approachable. So on my day-to-day, I am on most of my calls, everybody's kind of VPs or one down from that, and everybody is approachable and friendly no matter what position they're in. And it means that we're very innovative as well. So it's a really interesting place to be because there's loads of projects that we're doing new stuff on and working with big companies to come up with new things. So like we've done stuff to do with COVID and the job retention scheme and loads of stuff like that. The next thing is the opportunities that Capgemini give you. So I've only been in since March, like I said, but I've had the opportunity to be in 2 different roles. So in Capgemini, we've got Invent, and then we've got Capgemini. Invent is where we've kind of got some more of the innovation stuff. We've got some more sales stuff. That's where business consulting goes on. And loads of kind of digital engineering and stuff like that. And then Capgemini is the apps business. So when a company wants to transform their technology or anything like that, you've got loads of opportunity in there. So whether you're someone business focused or you like working, in tech, in the software and stuff like that, there's loads of opportunities. Capgemini is also a global organization. So say if there was an opportunity going in Australia, I'd have the option to go and move to Australia and work in Australia or America or India. So I know some parts of SAP, when you go and do your training, you go and spend 5 weeks in India. So there's loads of options for travel within the UK and then around the world. And then working with large clients. So when you're in Capgemini and maybe you decide to leave or whatever, you'll have loads of big names on your resume to say that you've worked with the likes of Rolls-Royce, Burberry, Student Loans Company, and loads of other big household brands. Tips and advice. So again, this is something that the other two have probably mentioned a lot of, but I'll just go over it quickly. Is get experience. Right now, obviously, that's a bit harder because we're all in our individual houses, but you can offer free labor. Some companies out there will enable you to, offer up some services, whatever that may be. It may be in marketing, it may be in anything like that you can just kind of help write stuff. Create your own experience, so you can set up your own business if you've got the time, or just start if you want to do marketing. Just kind of, if a friend or family member owns a business, just do it for them. Anything like that. Read on the subject. There's loads of books that you can reference to when you go to interviews to show the kind of reading you've been doing, and free courses as well. So for us in Capgemini, if you wanted to go into the SAP area or the Salesforce area, they've got a bunch of free online training that you can go and do off your own back to kind of start learning about it before you go in for interviews and stuff like that, for any of the any positions to do with software or anything like that. Build your network. So I found LinkedIn to be really useful, the same as Charlotte said. It's something that while we're working remotely now, it means that if there's a company that you want to go and work for, you can find somebody working in that company, maybe a graduate who's just joined or anything like that, and you've got the ability to reach out to them, speak to them, ask them questions, and start building a relationship. And if you manage to get a job inside of a company, it's another great way to start speaking to people, asking questions, and building relationships with inside the company without having joined you. Think about your friends and family as well. So like I said about creating your own experience, if any of them have businesses that you think you could go in and just learn, anything, whether it be sales, marketing, anything like that, just go and do it for free, because the more chances you have to reference some previous experience when you go into these interviews, the better. Any job you do. So when I went in, you can talk about sales experience from Subway or selling champagne or whatever you've done. You'll be able to find and really think of the skills that you've used, but having some more direct applications will just be really helpful. Third is be passionate. So a lot of companies, like, I can only speak from experience, but Capgemini, when we joined, they said that they would much rather someone who's passionate than somebody who is not, but can, got really good grades and already knows everything. Because if you're passionate, you'll go in, you'll learn. But if you're not passionate, then you won't ever put in your best work. So be passionate and show your passion when you go into these learning experiences and these interviews. And then lastly, do your research. Research the industry you want to go into, research the companies that you want to join, and research the skills that these jobs require, and then find ways to develop those. So you may be looking at a few different options, but if you can kind of narrow that down, then it'll just be helpful to kind of learn skills that will be useful across all of them. Transferable skills. I think that the most valuable transferable skill that you can kind of develop or learn is sales. In any job, no matter whether it is a sales position or a technical job, sales and being able to sell yourself and your ideas is going to be invaluable. So obviously, your job interviews are just a sales pitch for yourself. When you're in a company, if you've got a new idea, you may need to sell your idea to those more seniors to you. And if you go into a sales job, you're obviously going to have to sell your services to another customer. I did the sales module in third year. I'm sure that's still going on. I'm not sure. But that was really good at getting you up there and presenting. Luckily, I'd had experience from my business and beforehand, where I've had to do networking events and presentations for like HSBC and stuff. But that module really helped you to craft your presentations, speak properly in front of people, and just learn some techniques that you can use in persuasion and stuff like that. There are loads of books on sales that you can get into. And then all of your jobs that you do will have an aspect of sales that you can pick up on and try and focus on to develop. Again, online training is useful for that too. Other transferable skills, teamwork, PowerPoint and Excel, leadership and proactivity are all things that companies, no matter what position you're going for, are probably going to look for, and developing them are going to be beneficial no matter what you go into. And that's why they're important, is because no matter what job you go into, they'll all be looking for passion. They'll all be looking for someone who's proactive and a good team worker. And if you can sell yourself and sell the skills that you've gained and sell your ideas, then it'll just help you in the long run, whether you're going for promotion, whether you're going to get that first job, or whether you want to sell an idea for someone to buy, or inside of a company to start a new initiative. So that was just my section really quick, because I know we're approaching the hour mark now and you might want to ask some questions. But if there's anything that you want to ask me, or if there's anything I can help with, this is my LinkedIn account, so feel free to add me and feel free to ask me any questions.
That's very, you can tell that you work in a techie industry with your QR code. Very nice. Amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Dan. Again, really, really useful overview. So to all the students listening, hopefully you will have some questions. So please start to put those in the chat now. I was going to ask, well, all of you, you all mentioned kind of a little bit around sort of coding and those sorts of skills. So Darnell, I know you mentioned R and Stata. If you were a student now and if you were thinking about sort of coding, what resources would you point students in the direction of? I know, Dan, you mentioned the Capgemini website, but Darnell, if there's anything else?
So when I did my master's, we had a module on it. So that was kind of my first point of contact. But then obviously you have a bunch of resources in the library as well.
Okay.
If I would have known how important they would have been, I probably would have sought more learning than I actually did. But definitely, at least on my course, we had modules around it. But I'm sure that the university has like different opportunities for students to learn whatever coding language they like. But I think if you learn one, or you become relatively proficient in one, then it should help you learn other ones as well, because I think a lot of the concepts are the same. You have to kind of think logically. So this step leads to this step leads to this step. And I think that if you know how to do one to a fairly decent level, then I think picking up another one shouldn't be as difficult as the first one. I think it's like that with any language. But yeah, if you have an opportunity through your modules, take it. But aside from that, speak to lecturers, and they might be able to put you in the direction of somebody who might be able to put on a course for you, or just give you the extra boost that you might need.
Brilliant, thank you. I should mention that we're doing a coding course for girls take part this semester. So it's an 8-week course. So if any students are interested in that, just email somcareers@swansea.ac.uk. So that's a really good thing to get involved in. We've got one question on the chat. So most useful things to start learning on Stata. I guess that's for you, Darnell.
Most useful things. So the thing that I use most is probably the collapse function, which kind of, if you've got a huge data set, then it will kind of reduce it down into different statistics that you need, so you can get rid of like a bunch of observations. So I definitely say the collapse function. Learn how to comment effectively. So write it in just simple English, what you're doing, why you're doing it, because otherwise it can, even when you're looking over your own work, it can become pretty confusing pretty quickly. So make sure that you write down what you've done, why you've done it. Aside from that, what else? Obviously things like tab start, and also learn how to use the help pages too, because it took me a while to understand them because they're written in quite a strange way. But once you get used to like how the different options are laid out, then it helps a lot to be able to know either where you're going wrong or what a different function does. So I'd say definitely learn how to effectively use the collapse function and the help pages too. So perhaps if you could go onto the help page of a command that you already know really well, just so you can see the different steps and the different ways that it's laid out. So that would probably be the biggest bit of advice, would be to go and seek help from somewhere else.
Okay, brilliant.
It's just a built-in help section.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, we've got another question here. So it says, with regards to masters, is it a bad idea to enroll on a course which has nothing to do with your undergraduate degree if you want to switch to a different career field? So has anybody done that? Did you do that, Darnell, or?
No, I did the same course for my master's as my undergrad. I'd say probably speak to careers, maybe, or maybe the perspective or lecturers in the subject that you were thinking of studying. So like if you did it, accounting for your undergrad, speak to say an economics lecturer to say, okay, then what are the skills that I might have learned in my accounting degree that could transfer, and if they think that it's too big of a jump, then maybe consider something else. But I think a lot of the skills that you learn on one subject will help you to transfer to another one. So yeah, I definitely don't think there should be a problem in a lot of cases.
Charlotte and Dan, in terms of kind of the people working with you, what sort of degrees did they do? Did they come from a variety of degrees, or was it sort of mainly business?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say on that question, because I don't think it's a bad idea. Because I have a friend who did the degree in engineering and then their masters in like computer science, and at the end of the day, she's got skills in engineering and skills in computer science. Like, who, there's no bad anything if you're just gaining skills, gaining knowledge, education, experience in something, and something that you're actually more interested in than your actual degree. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Obviously, yeah, I've done business. I think one of my friends might have done like psychology, who I work with. Yeah, a few have obviously done computer science. So yeah, it's very, very varied. And you're not, what's the word? Like, it's not really like frowned upon when you go and apply for graduate schemes, and not for consulting, especially because it's kind of like, it's more who you are and how driven you are and proactive and sort of the things that Dan was saying that make you as a person. And because when we start our job, and especially when we're in kind of like the SAP or the applications side, it's like they will give you the training for the software that you do anyway. Like, we have a lot of training and a lot of teamwork. So yeah, it doesn't really matter what degree you've done. Obviously some help, but yeah, it's kind of more you as a person that I think companies are more looking at now.
Brilliant. Yeah, that sounds really good. Any other questions? I was going to ask Dan if he kind of used any support from the uni when you started your own business. Did you use the enterprise team at all?
Yeah, I would use them all the time, and the networking events that were going on in the uni and everything like that. I was I made the most of as much as I could.
Brilliant, lovely. So another question about Capgemini, so maybe you can add to that. So was there anything different in Capgemini grad application process to other companies, I'm guessing?
What I hear a lot is that the Capgemini application process is a lot more on who you are. So like Charlotte was saying before, so when we went for our induction and stuff like that, it's a smaller group, and it's more about how you work together in a team and kind of how you approach answering questions and stuff like that. It's very relaxed, because I know that some interviews can be really like, there's loads of you in a room and you all have to sit tests and stuff like that, whereas this was, and I'm sure Charlotte can vouch, this was completely different, and it was a lot more on who you are and your capability.
Lovely, okay. And then another question for you two. So what in your opinion is the best and worst thing for working at working at Capgemini, if you're okay to say? Who wants to go first?
Depends on the day. Yeah, so the best thing I would say working for Capgemini, oh, that's a good question. I think just the amount you learn. I mean, Jess, you know how much about what happened with me at GE, just like a lot of opportunities. I want to say a lot of opportunities, but it is a lot of challenges.
Yes.
So the best things, it's you really are sometimes stuck in the deep end. But it is so good. The teams can be so good, and from the interview process, everyone is really nice and very chill, and it is who you are. Even if you've, I don't know, done something wrong or don't understand something, you can just say oh, I don't understand this, and people are just so helpful and so nice, and you just get to learn so much. I'm just constantly learning. But then that also is kind of sometimes one of the worst things about Capgemini, because it's it can be very, very, very intense. It can be a lot. But yeah, that's kind of the best and worst. I kind of like the both.
Yeah.
It's all good though.
Would you say similar, Dan?
Yeah, I think, pretty much. The best things about Capgemini are everybody is nice, there's always something to learn, and there's so many different opportunities. My manager at the moment has touched every single part of the company, and if you want to move from something completely different, then you've got, as long as you can, prove to the person that you want to do it and that it's a good move, then you can do it. So you can do, within the company, it's a huge company, and you've got so much opportunity to move around. And then probably the worst thing is that at times you're probably going to have to work on the weekends if you've got to go live, or late at night if you're working with another country, but they're not all the time, and you do it because you want to do it, and it's worthwhile doing it when you've got the chance anyway. So
amazing. Okay, I think we're kind of getting to the end of the questions. There's somebody's just written, if you're happy to share your details, either your LinkedIn or your email addresses, it's up to you. Are you happy to put those in the chat? And to kind of end off, I just wanted to ask who you would direct students to if they were interested in applying for Capgemini, ONS, or if you know anything about kind of graduate schemes opening and that kind of thing. Darnell, can I start with you?
So I think the only way that I know of applying to the ONS is through the civil service jobs.
Yeah.
What I did was, if you make an account on there, you can set up to be alerted whenever a job that interests you becomes available. So whether it be HR or economics or whatever, you can arrange for them to send you an email whenever a job becomes available. Aside from that, I think it's pretty kind of formal. There's no other way of applying. I might be wrong, but everyone that I know who has applied to the mainstream has applied through that. But there are different ways to apply for the ONS as well. So you could apply to the mainstream, the fast stream, you could do the graduate placements as well, summer placements. So I definitely, if possible, speak to the careers teams, and they could point you in the direction of placements, or just apply directly on the civil service jobs.
Brilliant. Yeah, we're in the middle of organising a student day with ONS, so that will be taking sort of place this term. We don't have a date yet, so usually there's a trip every year to ONS from Swansea Uni, but this year obviously we're doing that virtually. So once we have a date for that, we'll let all students know about that. I can see that Charlotte and Dan are putting some links in the chat for info about kind of where to apply. Is there anything else you want to add on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of different opportunities on there. Like I said, with Invent or Capgemini, and they've got stuff coming out all the time. So just keep checking the links that Charlotte and I put in, and everything will be there.
Yeah, there's a lot of different like departments, a lot of different roles. You know, you can go into like the business side, the technical side, and Invent, so like the change management and stuff that they do and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of different, and there's a lot of good videos and information kind of on the website as well. It's quite a good website. So yeah, and then obviously any questions, just let us know on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's the power of networking. You've got these contacts now, guys, so use them. Okay, that is brilliant. Thank you so much to you all for kind of giving up your time. I know you're so busy, so we really do appreciate it. Amazing tips, really good overview. Obviously, hopefully that will inspire the students listening to really make the most of, you know, university opportunities, and to start networking, start thinking about obviously the next steps. So I'll sort of stay on. We'll stay on if anybody does have any last questions, but I think we'll leave it there. We'll also leave the Zoom open for a bit if anybody wants to kind of access those links and click on those before we leave. But just say a big thank you to everyone that's attended. Any questions, as always, just email somcareers@swansea.ac.uk. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.